What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Die Hard MMA Podcast. I am Clint. I am your host, and we are happy today. Welcome to episode 100 of the Die Hard MMA Podcast. I cannot believe it. We've already been live for 100 episodes. Absolutely nuts. I need to start following the UFC's numbering promotional type of stuff. I need to count the numbers since I've been on with odds, so it can be like UFC, a Die Hard MMA Podcast, and then Die Hard MMA Podcast on odds.com, and then I can number it that way. No, this is straight up episode 100. I've been doing this bad boy for 100 episodes, about a year and a half, nearly 2 years at this point, and I cannot believe how the time has flown by. I appreciate each and every one of you for your support and hanging out with me today. We've got Michael Luizos in the chat here, 100 episodes first in the chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, my friend. There's no fights this weekend, folks. There's no fights on Saturday, so it's going to be a fun kind of recap of UFC 257. Lots of interaction with the chat, just kind of hanging out and having a good time. Probably a bit of a shorter episode today, so I appreciate each and every one of you for chilling with me here. SD Cruiser, it is the year of the dog so far. Absolutely 100%. And the year of derailed hype trains. Let's see how long that lasts. MMA Sports Better in the house. Let's get it. You too, my friend. Rex Lee, thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for that. Christopher Harmon saying McGregor is a bum. Here we go. So let's dive right on into it, shall we? Let's talk about this. So it's funny to me how quickly the MMA world can turn on its heels. MMA fans are fickle bitches. That's right. You heard me correct. Just last week, everybody and their mom, myself included, was all over Conor McGregor. He's a 3-1 favorite. We talked about how that line was wide, but we still thought that he was going to win. Everybody predicting Conor round one knockout. And then today, all of a sudden, he's a bum. He doesn't belong in the title picture. He's got no shot against anybody. Just count him out. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's one of the best fighters on the planet, and it wasn't his night. If you go back and you watch round one, it was incredibly competitive. Dustin managed to do something that Conor didn't see coming, and game plans are half the battle when it comes to MMA. So personally, I know a lot of people aren't hyped about it right now, but I would love to see the rubber match. I would love to see round 3 between Dustin and Conor. Not immediately. I don't want an immediate rematch, but I hope we get it at some point down the road. They are 1-1. Both of them have won by knockout. It'd be fun to see them go a third time, I think. All right. So we have got... All right, glad to hear I got the pronunciation done. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Uncle Rafi, what's up, my buddy? How you doing today? Joshua Lazar here in the chat with me. Thank you very much for hanging out, my friend. We have got some good stuff. Yeah, SD Cruiser, I think next week's card is actually a really good one for betting. We'll talk a little bit about it. Once again, we've got to have a show for next week, so I can't go, full in-depth on it, but we'll talk a little bit about it. We got some airtime to fill here. The Czar hitting the round 2 KO prop. Beautiful spot there. Very, very well done. And Gooby72 looks like he was on Dustin Poirier as well. Thank you, Quito. I appreciate you. You know what? Big Zomega, next hype train to be derailed is a very good question. Who do we have coming up that is a hype train? So it looks like, well, Macy Barber has a fight coming up, but she is the underdog already there, and she had her hype train derailed already, so I don't think we can count her. Chimaev is the one that comes to mind here as the next super big hype train that's on the future. Tom Aspinall is fighting Andrei Arlovsky. That's one that could be a dangerous spot. This is actually a tough question because all the biggest hype trains right now really have already been kind of derailed. There's not a lot of them left right now. Alexander Rakic, maybe he falls in the category of hype train. He's fighting Thiago Santos. That's a big fight coming up. Sean Brady taking on Jake Matthews. That's one. Maybe that one's too wide. Sean Brady's already like a minus 250, minus 300 favorite there, and that's a good fight. So maybe those ones. Not sure exactly who is going to be the one that actually shits the bed, though. So those are the options. Not sure who's going to actually go down there. Yazar Chandler absolutely is a killer. That was, yikes. Absolutely did not see that coming. Okay, can't say I didn't see it coming. I liked Hooker. I thought Hooker was a deserving slight favorite. I didn't think that he was going to go down hard in round one like that. We knew Chandler had the power. We knew he likes to close the distance like that. But Hooker's been so damn durable. I just did not imagine him getting clipped and shut down the way that he did. All right. And let's see here. Marlon Z in here. Cash in some props. Love it. Got the Poirier round 2 prop as well. Joshua Lazar saying Khamzat's going to be the one that shits the bed. That's a bold prediction, my friend. That is a bold prediction. Yeah. All right. So you know what? Let's just go over it, shall we? Let's talk about the last card. I want to get into it with you guys. So we are finally snapping that 4-fight damn skid that I have been on. Finally, we're coming back on a winning evening. It feels good. It feels good. And you know what? I'm going to thank the shirt. I'm going to thank the shirt. We talked about it last episode that I think I had some bad juju stuck to me from 2021. I was still rocking the same Die Hard MMA shirt that I had been wearing for a couple of episodes in a row, and we were just doing this thing. We just couldn't quite get it right. All the bad bounces were going our way, a couple of bad reads. We bought in on some of those hype trains that got derailed, and then we flipped the script. We put the other shirt on, and lo and behold, we have a winning night. So right now, we are riding the Fireball and Popcorn train. I'm going to keep wearing this shirt as long as we are winning. Let's see if that works. No, I'm not superstitious at all. So, all right. UFC 257. The very first fight of the night, Amir Albazi taking on Zhalgas Zhumagulov. You know, this is one that I talked about it a couple times on the show. I was going back and forth, could not make a decision, and I'm really, really glad I decided to pass on this one because it was close. It went back and forth, and I think Amir Albazi was the clear winner, but it was 29-28, and Zhalgas had some moments in the fight, so that was one that I'm just glad I had the foresight to just stay off it. I need to do that more often. When there's a close fight, I need to just stay off it. Nick Lentz taking on Movsar Evloev. Let's get the elephant in the room out of the way, right? I had 2 parlays that were anchored on Movsar Evloev. Anchored maybe the wrong term since he was the second fight on the card. But holy crap, how was that a split decision? How was that ever a split decision? I will give Nick Lentz round 1 if you want to make the argument for the submission attacks. Personally, I thought it was a 30-27 Evloev. I still think that even after fighting off those submission attacks, Evloev putting a beating on him for the last minute of the fight was enough to win that round. Nick Lentz did no damage. He threatened with a couple of submissions, but he wasn't really in there on any of them, and then he got his ass beat for the back half of the fight for the first round. I think it was a clear Evloev decision, 29-28 at the worst, and the fact that a judge out there actually scored the fight for Evloev makes no sense. I'm sorry, for Nick Lentz makes no sense because the only round you can give Lentz is 1. He did nothing in rounds 2 or round 3 to give him any type of opportunity to win that fight. Do not get that whatsoever. Hey, Justin Melinda saying Hooker looked wrong. And yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. He did. He looked scared. He did not look like himself in there. And you got to wonder if it was coming off the war that maybe he wanted a slower paced fight and it just he got pushed. Maybe he felt the strength of Chandler in there and it spooked him. I have no idea, but he absolutely did not look correct in there. Good call. Good call. And so Greco asking, how did I win? I will tell you. We're about to go over the recap here for the betting. So I had, Ryan, I want to get to you. Sorry here. Michael Johnson or Volkov, safer pick next week. I'm on Volkov. I'm on Volkov big. Michael Johnson finds ways to lose. That's all I'll say. He's got a winnable fight in front of him, a fight he absolutely should win, but that's a guy that finds ways to lose. Volkov is the guy that I trust far more with my money. All right. So here we go. All right. Yeah. So that one, no idea. Scared the crap out of me because I had 2 parlays anchored on this guy and not sure that ended up actually mattering because both the other legs ended up losing, but at least the night felt better starting off on the win there for both of those first leg parlays, which by the way, I've been talking about doing less parlays and lost both of those there instead of just hammering the one guy that I was really confident in. And I paid for it. So, yeah, we definitely need to steer away from the parlays, don't we? We talked about it last week. And I can't show results for not following my own advice. All right. Yep. Back in the black. Finally. Thank God. It's about time. I was nervous. I'm sweating bullets. My wife was giving me shit about having losing nights. She was making fun of me for not having a winner. All right. Let's see here. If McGregor knew he would win against number 2 killer Poirier, why did he ask for the trilogy against unranked Diaz? He wasn't truly confident. He knew he could lose. Well, I mean, hammering, everybody knows they could lose. Like, the fighters know they could lose. And you know what? This is something I do want to talk about. So whoever at odds is watching this, Cynthia, if you're tuning in, this will be my sermon for this week. You can cut this little clip out to show to the people. Remember, we are talking sports betting, folks. So it is damn near impossible to just hit at a high percentage going winner, 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 winner. It's really hard. We need to bet the numbers. We need to bet the percentages. So if you look at the McGregor and Poirier fight, for the people out there who say there is no value in a losing bet, this week and what we've seen so far in 2021 has been a perfect example of why that argument doesn't work. Conor McGregor was a minus 300 favorite this weekend. We talked about how we felt that line was a little bit wide. Maybe Conor McGregor wins that fight 60-40, right? So maybe he should be a minus 175 favorite, a minus 200 favorite, but he probably shouldn't be a minus 300 favorite. But you know what? Still think he's going to win. Well, 60% is not 100%. Any of you who have played poker understand that when you've got pocket aces and your opponent is on a flush draw and they've got a 30% chance of hitting that flush, you are not out of the woods. You can get caught on the river. That flush can come through. If you get in that spot and you run it 1,000 times, you will end up winning in that position. But when you've only got one shot to do it, you could go home busto and lose your entire bankroll because it didn't go against you. That 30% happened to show up on the moment you had those aces. That's what happened this weekend. The line was too wide. We paid the wrong price on Conor McGregor, and Dustin Poirier showed up. I'm not going to go back on this thing and say that I feel like this should have been opposite, that Dustin won. Obviously, he should have been the favorite. That's not what happened here. I still think that Conor should have been the favorite, everything we knew going into this fight. It's much, much closer to 50-50. Maybe it was 60-40. Maybe it was 55-45. But the fact of the matter is it wasn't 100%, and when you pay the wrong price tag, you get punished for it. This is a spot where we talked about the value on Dustin Poirier. We should have taken the shot on Dustin Poirier because it was a wide line and there was a ton of value on it. So if you took Dustin Poirier, you made a good bet regardless of whether or not he won or lost. And this time he just so happened to cash that ticket. It's the exact same situation with DiCirico. It's the exact same situation with Marina Rodriguez, except actually on that one, I think the Marina Rodriguez really was a 50-50, and that line should have been a hell of a lot closer. So that's your lesson, folks. I will get off of my pedestal now, and I can't even tell you anything from a high place. This is not me sticking my nose up in the air. I had a parlay anchored on Conor McGregor myself, so I lost money on that as well. But it's just something that we need to keep in mind. For all the people out there that always say that we take too many dog shots, we're betting too many wide lines, there's no such thing as value. The start to 2021 has proven those arguments wrong for us already. So we need to bear that in mind moving forward. All right. So moving right along, I want to keep an eye on the chat here because today that's all we're doing. We're just kicking back, relaxing, having a good time, and I will do my best to interact with you as much as I can. And, oh, Ben, thank you, my friend. Those round 3 props. Oh, baby. Woo! That's how we had a good night right there with those round 3 props. All right. Gaming Wolf 87 in the house. What's up, my friend? I appreciate you hanging out with me. Let's see here. Yep, McGregor did choke. He did. He made a mistake, but also we got to give credit to Dustin. Got to give credit to Dustin. Lots of diamonds. Exactly. All right. Did I play Rodriguez sub? No, I did not. So what I did there was the under 2.5. And you know what? Let's just move right along with the recap of the card because we're right around the corner from those fights. Joshua Lazar sending in the $5 dono. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate it. So it looks like odds.com is still playing around with the super chat donations. That's not something that we have ironed out just yet. So if you want to donate in the super chat, go right ahead. Just know at this point in time, that's not directly influencing me or affecting me. If we start working something out where the super chat donations have an effect, or if they somehow flow towards me helping me out on the podcast, I will let you guys know, and then we can start doing something like that for sure. But for now, you guys are just supporting odds.com, which is totally fine. They are my sponsors. That's where we're hosting the show, and we definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. Holy crap, right? Somebody bet $100,000 on Dustin Poirier. Cannot believe it. They're feeling like $1 million today. And huge shout out to my man, Jason Somerville. So those of you who know, I got into gambling from playing poker. I was a huge fan of Run It Up. Jason Somerville's show, Run It Up. I learned a lot of what I do. Like my interaction with you guys on camera came from watching Jason Somerville to begin with. And he had $25,000 on Dustin Poirier. He also had $1,000 on him by knockout. And then he had another $1,000 on Inside the Distance. So my man Jason Somerville was one of those high rollers that cashed out hard on Saturday. Lock of the night. What's up, buddy? Hey, perfect segue, my friend. Thank you for hanging out here in the chat with me tonight. Schedule for February. I know I'm blocking my gorgeous face here for you folks, but check it out. This is what we've got coming up in the month of February. So starting next week, we are kicking it off February 1st, talking Overeem versus Volkov with my man, Cody Saftik. We've been hanging out together here on Odds for some time, but we actually haven't done a live stream together, and I don't know what the hell I've been dragging my feet for. I love this guy, him and Paul Shaughnessy over there with the Dogger Pass podcast, another one of my super big influences getting into the podcasting game. So super excited to have him, just me and him one-on-one on the show. And then we're going to have the return of Matt Holt for UFC 258, Burns versus Usman. My guy. Some of my favorite guests ever. James Lynch coming back here on the 15th to talk Blades versus Lewis, and then Lock of the Night himself will be rocking with us on the 22nd to wrap up February talking Reyes versus Procaccia. That's going to be a fun fight. Boom. Lots of fun stuff coming up for the podcast, and I've already got a fun guest signed up for March. So, yeah. And Mike Perry's a bum says, I hate Prachniow. We all hate Prachniow. That's the next fight, so let's talk about it. And I see the chat rolling here. It's hard to keep up with you guys. Love the interaction. 88 people hanging out with me tonight live. So thank you very much. I will get to your comments, I promise. But he's hitting it on the button here. Next fight up was the lightweight fight, Khalil Roundtree versus Marcin Prachniow. We had the parlay with Movsar Evloev with the under 1.5. And then we had Khalil round 1 at plus 170. Now, I absolutely smashed that line movement on the round 1 for Khalil Roundtree, which is part of the reason why I made that bet. And I should have just left it at that. If we're being honest, I should have just left it at that. It did not cash. That's a bummer. But I will tell you, Marcin Prachniow is going to pop for performance-enhancing drugs. He's going to pop for EPO. He's going to get his walking papers from the UFC, or he'll get brought back for one more when he has to be clean, and he'll get knocked out round 1. Again, because the dude's a bum, and there's no way you go from what we've seen to what he did on Saturday without a little extra help. A little extra help. So that was an unfortunate swing for me, and another lesson that I'm learning. I already talked about, hey, shouldn't have made parlays, right? The parlays just don't need to be a thing. Well, the late edition parlay just doesn't need to be a thing either. That Movsar Evloev and Khalil Prachniow under 1.5 parlay that I made, I just shouldn't have put my hand in it. So I already had Movsar tied with Conor McGregor, and I liked that spot. I had the round 1 spot for Khalil Roundtree at a big plus number, and I beat the market. I loved that spot. Why did I go for an even money spot? Movsar Evloev, Khalil under 1.5. Why? Because it looked easy. And I always tell you guys, if it looks too easy, it is too easy. And I fell into that trap this weekend. I'm down. And I'm down on 2021. I'm trying to make up the difference. And I took a swing at an easy shot. And when it's too easy, it's too good. And that's exactly what happened here. I bit on that, and it cost me. It bit me right back, right in the ass. So bad mistake on my part. We could have another 2.5 units in our pocket, and I gave it away on that parlay, just trying to make an easy buck. Big Wave Dave, yeah, man. Yep, no UFC this weekend makes me extremely sad. Extremely sad. You know what? HG talking about the Reyes opening line plus 135 seems a bit ridiculous. Yeah, you know what? I got to think more about that one. Jiri is another one of these hype trains that could potentially get derailed because realistically, stock has never been higher on that kid, right? He comes into the UFC, takes out no time Ozdemir, looked great doing it, and nobody's high on Reyes after him losing to Jan Blachowicz. So yeah, that's potentially another one of these derailing spots. We'll have to look into that one. I haven't done any research on it, so just opening thoughts is what you're getting on that one. All right. Geez, the stupid chat always jumps on me. I hate it when it does that. Getting back up where I was caught up. Ben, thank you, my friend, for the $9.99 dono. Appreciate the donation, my friend. Thank you very much for that. Love the support. All right. Hey, there we go. Pena round 3 finish. $2 paid out 38. That's running it up right there. That's what it's all about. Remember, we always talk about it. Your bankroll size, your unit size, it does not matter. Does not matter at all. Nice little score, turning $2 into something. And yes, Jack Goodwillie, we will be absolutely fading Prashniel the next time around. But we do need to look at the weigh-ins because that was something I spotted. He looked a whole lot thicker this time than he usually does. And those bumps all over his body, that's a pure sign of EPO right there. So we need to look out the next time, because if he is still in the UFC, if he somehow doesn't pop and he's got those bumps all over his body and he comes in yoked the way he did this time, then maybe we don't fade him. He's going to be a weigh-in read for sure, because I expect the next time out, especially if he gets caught on this one, the next time out he may look a little skinny on the scales, and then we'll know. And if he's off the stuff, then we'll definitely be betting on his opponent, almost no matter who it is. Gaming Wolf, yeah, wish we had Pena. We only had that third round, and that seemed to work out. Charles LaRoche, buddy, what's up? Thank you very much for hanging out tonight. Yeah, Parlay Busters. Parlay Busters all weekend long. The books took a bath, folks. This was a big card, especially tied with Super Bowl weekend and the Packers going down. I went down with that ship too. Jeez. It was a rough weekend for a lot of people. There we go. We got another casher on Marina Rodriguez by KO, 12-1. You are absolutely welcome, Fender Jazz. That was one that I wish I'd taken a sprinkle. I took the under 2.5. That was my favorite spot. Absolutely loved the plus line there, but I wish I'd taken the Rodriguez KO sprinkle because that was the way that I kind of felt it was going to get done. It was either Reba submission or it was going to be the knockout from Marina Rodriguez. And yeah, someone made a 100K bet on that one. They got to be feeling pretty good. Pretty good. ACJ being a fade moving forward? No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Let's talk about that one, right? So Juliana Pena was the next fight up, Sarah McMahon. I talked about how I thought Sarah McMahon would win 2 out of 3 rounds and she'd be able to, get this fight done. Sure enough, that's what she does. She muscles Pena around the cage for 2 full rounds, and then she gasses out. The rules, folks, the rules are in place to keep us safe for a reason. We do not bet on 40-year-old fighters, and this is exactly why. McMahon looked the best that we've ever seen her. She's in excellent physical condition. I want to look like that at 40 years old. She's incredible. But in a fight, in a professional MMA fight, you're just not the same at 40 years old as you were when you were 25. And that's what happened here. Juliana Pena had more gas in the tank in round 3, and McMahon just had nothing left to offer after expending all that energy. So Pena comes through with the submission in round 3, cashes a 18-1 ticket for us, one that I'm kind of wishing I had gone half unit instead of quarter unit, but hey, we can't be too greedy, right? Cash a big ticket there. That was fun, kept us in the black, and couldn't have had a better read on the fight. Honestly, this card was a huge refresher for me. I've been a little down on myself and doubting my reads and stuff, and hitting these 2 round 3 props really brought some confidence back to me here. So Brad Tavares taking on ACJ. This is another one where I made a last-minute read, and I don't really like it. It wasn't really a post-weigh-in read. It was more of I listened to a bunch of people I respect, and I kind of saw the community, what was going on, and I felt like maybe, again, I was questioning myself. I was doubting myself. So completely my fault. I'm not blaming anybody else, but I almost feel like I doubted myself and got talked into this one. Someone reached out to me on Twitter, which again, thank you very much, and kind of gave me a little bit of a pep talk that my initial read on this fight was Brad Tavares' takedown defense was going to be too much. Brad was going to be able to stick and move, stay safe, use his balance, use his hips, and grind away to a decision win. And I couldn't have called this fight any better. I was absolutely right. But a week of hearing everybody talking about how underrated ACJ is, how dangerous he is on the mat, how big, how strong he is, and then seeing him show up looking good at the scales, the combination of all those things, plus me questioning myself, made me go, you know what? They're right. So I decided to pull the trigger on ACJ, which that one I regret. I also bet 1 unit on ACJ by decision at plus 350. I do not regret that bet because I think there was a lot of value on that line. Plus 350 was a wide line. And instead of doing 1-1, if I was going to pull this move, if I pull this move in the future, I'm going to do a 50/50. So then I'm only risking 1 unit instead of risking 2 units. Because let's be real, I was not 2 units confident on this play. It just so happened I wanted to bet him straight at a dog price and then also bet the round prop. So I think if I do that ever again, I'm going to go 50/50. But the other thing I'm going to do is work on trusting my initial reads, trusting my own eyes, trusting my own spots, because Brad Tavares closed as the dog. So many people came in on ACJ that you could have gotten even money or minus 110 on him at fight time. And that's the way I should have gone on it. All right, moving along. And we've got Baza Rafael in here with a donation. Thank you for the $10 donation, my friend. I very, very much appreciate it. And yeah, I do want to reiterate that this is supportingodds.com. If you donate right now, we're going to have some conversations, because if they do leave the live chat donations open, I better be getting a piece of that, because this is my podcast, folks. But no harm, no shame in supporting odds.com. They've been great partners to me, and I wouldn't be here with the platform that I have without them. So nothing wrong with supporting and donating to odds.com. Again, thank you guys very much for all of that. I appreciate it. All right. And yeah, hoping to get Gianni back on the show very soon. Maybe got something in the works there. Maybe so. Danny Lopez with the right idea here. Hit the like button for me. Thank you all so much for being with me on a Monday night here. 120 live viewers in the chat tonight. Want to give a shout out to my other sponsors, GOATCapitalSports.com, with everything going on right now. You know, all the other major sports. Basketball, I don't know shit about. Hockey, I'm a degenerate in, but I also don't know shit about that. And then, of course, golf. I can't even stand to watch it. But if you want some action, if you want some bets, and you don't have time to do the research yourself, check out GOATCapitalSports.com. They are at GOATCapital_ on Twitter. Let them know Clint sent you. They have very reasonably priced packages, and will get you some picks to get you through on the sports that you may not be so familiar with. And they're good. I like those guys. They've been with me since the get-go. All right. And yeah, Gianni was big on Conor, actually. Me and him had a little chat about that. Very, very interesting takes for the two of us on that one. And you know what, Jack Goodwillie, we will get Brian Boom Kelleher back on the show. Don't you worry. Me and him are trying to work a bromance thing going over there. Hopefully after his next fight, I'll be able to get him back on the show. All right. Smith's MMA betting in the house. What is up? Thank you to get caught up here on the chat. There we go. All right. Thank you, Jacksonville Zone, my friend. I appreciate that. 100 episodes, folks. 100 episodes. 100. All right. And Jacksonville Zone can't wait to hang out live with you and the Pub Boys in a week or two, because we'll be doing that again very soon as well. So the next fight up, Arman Tsarukyan taking on Matt Frevola. This is one that we talked about how the line seemed like it was a bit too wide, but in the end, was it really? You know, Arman Tsarukyan basically did whatever he wanted to Matt Frevola, and I'm really glad I stayed off this one. This is a perfect spot to me where you got to be honest with yourself in hindsight. I was going to bet Arman Tsarukyan by decision, right? Because he was like 1,000, right? Minus 900, minus 1,000 favorite by the time fight kicked off. And he could have finished that fight in round 3 easily. He was looking for the finish. He was hunting for that submission. And Matt Frevola was tough enough to hang in there and do the dang thing. But I tweeted this on Saturday, folks. if Arman Tsarukyan had just started pounding, he had back control on Frevola for so long. He had his hooks in. If he had just turned over, flattened him out, and started pounding away, I think he could have TKO'd him there in the third round very, very easily. And I talked about how if I bet him inside the distance, he's going to grind away a decision. If I bet him by decision, he's going to finish the guy. So even getting even money on that decision prop, really happy I stayed off it, even though I would have potentially cashed that ticket. Yeah. Hey, Big Guy Sports Collector cashing in on Dustin Poirier. Happy to hear that. Congrats, my friend. Yeah, Gianni, he's got a different approach. But you know what? It's like when I brought Robin Black on the show. I think there's learning from different people and listening to people who think differently than ourselves. Great way to expand our skill set. Great way to expand our knowledge in the way that we think. We'll see angles that we wouldn't normally consider before. It's a great way to grow and learn. Thank you, Charles LaRoche. I appreciate that. And biggest Mikey in here, still pumped over the Chandler KO. Yep. That was it'll be interesting to see where they go from that. It will be interesting to see where they go. All right, so Mahmoud Muradov taking on Andrew Sanchez. This was really kind of like my shining star moment of UFC 257, right? We were 2 units deep on Mahmoud Muradov. We put a big boy bet on that one, and he looked like the favorite that we knew he would be. Everybody way too high on Andrew Sanchez. So much value on that spot. And then we even called the round 3 knockout. 12-1 on the round 3 knockout. I messed up. I talked about the round 3 prop, and it was 15-1 when I talked about it, and I didn't really think enough people were going to see it, so I didn't worry about it. Usually I use those round sprinkles later in the week, and it cost me because it dropped from 15 to 12, so I wasn't the only one that jumped on it, but cost me a little value. I'm a little upset about that, but still got it, cashed it. It was looking good. Hit not 1 but 2 round 3 props. I couldn't be happier and more excited on that. Nigel Lee, thank you, my friend, for the congratulations. I appreciate you, man. Absolutely. And you know what? All right. So just for vanity's sake here, right? Who rolled with me? Who hit the round 3 props? I just want to see cash it in the chat if you hit one or both of the round 3 props with me. I just want to see it fly by with anybody who got in on those round 3 props with me, because realistically, folks, it was a hard night at UFC 257. I saw a lot of people who had bad nights and lost, and we had our nights saved. In fact, we came away looking purty after having those round 3 props cash. So if you cashed a ticket with me, if you hit Pena round 3, or if you hit Muradov round 3, I just want to see it in the chat. All right, Nigel got cashed one there. We got Johnson, Nigel Lee, Austin Johnson, Kevin Koo. Man, a bunch of people saying nope. Sad. Makes me sad. There we go. Cashed it. Cashed both of them. Danny Lopez got it. There we go. All right. Not as many as I would have hoped, but you know what? We'll take it, right? We'll take it. That's where we talk about the value, right? Those long shot props, you bet a small amount on them, but you do not have to hit them very often for it to pay out. Hitting 2 of them in one night, that did the damn thing for us. J. Paul saying that Chandler fighting Colby. Woof. Boy, Chandler's a small 155er, man. I mean, I know he's thick. I know his body is big and powerful, but I'm sure that would be a fun fight to watch, but I think Colby rolls in that situation, man. He's bigger, he's stronger, better wrestler, faster hands, younger, like up a division. Yikes. It'd be fun to watch, but man, I think he'd be in trouble for that one. Next fight up, JoJo Calderwood taking on Jessica Ai. This is one where I swore to myself I would not make a simp bet, because you all know I love JoJo Calderwood. Big fan of hers. And I did legitimately think that she was the better fighter than Jessica Ai. But when it came down to it, it was close. It was close. And Jessica Ai looked in phenomenal condition. If she had looked even slightly off on the scales, I was going to hammer JoJo. But because she came in looking so damn good, I thought she was going to have kind of a step-up performance spot. And I did not want to be on the simp bet train again and lose a ticket for no reason. So kind of bummed I missed out on that JoJo spot, because I was very close to betting it. Decided to pass off. It's okay. It was a close fight, but JoJo did the damn thing. Happy to see that. Hey, Mr. Anonymous in the chat, cashing on that. Love it. All right. And then co-main event, we've talked about it a couple of times, man. Dan Hooker, just a And that's one of those ones where I don't even know if it was a bad bet or not. You know, it looks like a bad bet. The eye test, it looks like a bad bet, but let's see how Dan Hooker runs it back at this point. Did his durability finally crack? Is Chandler just that big of a monster? We don't really know. We don't really know at this point, but congratulations to all the Chandler bettors. What I should have done is bet the under 2.5. I talked about it on Total Madness. I talked about it on the show that I felt this fight was going to end inside the distance, whether it was the one side or the other. Kind of like what I did with Marina Rodriguez and Amanda Hebos. Really thought that it was going to be the one, but there was a chance it could have been the other, so just play the under instead of picking a side. It was even money. Could have gotten under 2.5 at plus 100. And that was a clear, easy runaway casher. I was going to do both. I was going to do Hooker and the under, but instead I did the parlay with Mavsar and Khalil. So your boy's an idiot. That's what happens when your confidence is shot, folks. That's what happens when you don't trust your own reads, is you try and invent stuff. You force a bet. And anytime you force a bet, you pay for it. Main event, Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. What is there to say? What is there to say? Very competitive first round. Extremely competitive first round. And then I think, Conor said it himself. Those leg kicks were the problem. Those leg kicks absolutely were the problem. I personally am of the camp believing that Conor McGregor can come back and show us a new wrinkle, show us some more experience, fight through adversity, and then have some good performances moving forward. But he just didn't know how to handle that leg kick, and Dustin Poirier had a perfect game plan. Conor looked good in round one. You could have scored it for Conor in round one. Maybe you give it to Poirier for the takedown in round one, but it was close. It was competitive, and Conor landed some shots. Poirier looked like he had been rocked and clipped a couple of times. So, man, it was a good fight, and cashing the over 1.5 by 2 seconds. By 2 freaking seconds. I really thought the way that they came out in round one, I thought the fight was going to go into the 3rd and 4th round like I predicted. And I was getting ready to be feeling myself looking like a genius on my over 2.5. And then Conor's leg shut down. So it kind of forced a firefight out of him in the 2nd round a little earlier than was anticipated. But really fun fight. I'm excited to see what goes from here. I mean, I'm probably going to write an article for Pub about this, and I want to know, what do we do from here? Because Dustin Poirier already said himself that he is not interested in facing Michael Chandler. And I think that's the whole new man to the UFC, jumping the line. I think Dustin Poirier is trying to make sure the people that have been there, that have worked for it, those are the guys that get their crack first. And let's be real, Khabib's done. He's not coming out of retirement. I don't think he's going to. Dana White was the one dangling that carrot, hoping for the McGregor-Khabib 2 rematch. But because McGregor lost, that's out the window. They really can't market Poirier versus Khabib. I mean, they can to us, right? We're the diehards. We're the hardcores. We would absolutely watch that fight again. But to the casual fans, they don't care. They already saw Dustin Poirier get choked out, and they already saw Dustin Poirier, McGregor. Dustin just doesn't have that star power the way that Khabib or McGregor does to the general public, unfortunately. He should. He deserves it. He's been a badass his entire career, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening, unfortunately. Yeah, so Jalen saying Dustin and do Bronx for the belt. That's an opportunity. It really is. So I want to see the trilogy, Dustin and Conor. I do. They're 1-1, both by finish. I would love to see them run that back, but I want Conor to go get another fight under his belt. He's been so inactive. I would love to see him get, do the Nate trilogy. You know what? Give Do Bronx his opportunity at the belt, and then do the Nate trilogy, get Conor back on his feet, and then, go from there. And honestly, I love your pick here with Chandler Gaethje. I love that. I think that's a great spot. Violence fight, both guys vying for the top position here. Really, really good spot there. And let's see here. I don't know if he's ducking him. Stud. I don't know if Dustin's ducking anybody. I mean, this is the guy that he's gone through hell to get to the top. He's taken on everybody the UFC has put in front of him. He's always asked for the hardest fight. He has no problem. He wants to fight Khabib given the opportunity. I mean, I don't think he's ducking anybody. I think he wants Chandler to take his place in line. I really think he just wants the guys that have earned it to get there. It does seem like Poirier Oliveira is most likely, which I really think that Oliveira is a guy that still has that quit in him. I know a lot of people are high on Charles Oliveira, but I think Poirier can break him. Really think Poirier can break him. Jimmy the Bag in my chat. What is up, buddy? Thank you so much for hanging out, man. Woo! That makes me happy. I appreciate it. 100 episodes, my man. Oh, so much to you and your mentorship that you've given to me. I owe so much to Odds. I'm so grateful to you and what you've done for me, man. You have no idea. For those of you that don't know, Jimmy the Bag is one of the other content creators here over at Odds. He's an incredible host. He's an incredible person. He's a wonderful family man. I respect the absolute shit out of him and everything that he does. He got me into NHL. I wouldn't be an NHL degenerate gambler if it wasn't for Jimmy the Bag. And he taught me a lot about what I do. So if you enjoy this show, we all owe a little tip of the cap to our man, Jimmy the Bag here. So thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you more than you know. More than you know, brother. All right. Yep, getting a vote for Chandler Poirier. Danny Say Ho in the chat. What's up, buddy? How you doing? There's my guy right there. Love Danny. Yeah, Nigel. Gaethje Chandler would be violence. That'd be violence incarnate. That would be so good. That would be absolutely awesome. Yeah, Yoda's Chode. I did not read the name before I clicked on it. Yoda's Chode saying that Poirier smokes Charles if they fight. I'd be betting Poirier. I agree. Connor Diaz. Let's see. Foot Clover saying Connor Diaz, Poirier, Oliveira, Gaethje Chandler, Tony, Dan. Yep. Tony and Dan both coming off losses. I like it. Except after that loss, I think Dan's going to need a little bit of time. I think he's going to need a little bit of time. All right, getting caught up with the rest of the chat here. Yeah, Tony Hooker would be fireworks. I mean, if they give him the time that he needs to recover and get back here, that absolutely would be fireworks. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, more than you'll ever know. All right. So what I want to do real quick is something that I haven't done in a very, very long time. So as you all know, for the last year or so, this has been a video podcast, but believe it or not, we have audio listeners. And it started out as an audio-only podcast because I was too scared to show my face, and I didn't have a good camera at the time. So that's how we got the ball rolling. We are on all the major podcasting outlets, and I just want to show a little bit of appreciation for people who have been supporting me over there. If you are an audio listener, or even if you're not, if you wouldn't mind, maybe head on over to one of your major audio spots like Apple, Podcast, Google Podcast, whatever, and give me a good solid 5-star rating. It would help the show out a lot, just as much as hitting the like button right now would do. So if you haven't already, subscribe here to Odds HQ, smash that like button for me. I'd appreciate it. And then I want to read out a couple of reviews, something maybe I'm going to start doing. If you guys can leave me some good ratings and reviews, we'll read them out live on the show. Everyone always loves a shout out here. We got, let's see, Papa J89, 5 stars, saying, weekly listener, appreciate the hustle. Keep it up. You're doing great. Thank you so much for the review, Papa J89. And then we've got Easy Mother Fluffin' Easy Mother Fluffin' with a 5-star rating. 5 stars saying snapping necks and cashing checks. I love it. Shallow Hal with a 5-star rating for the Die Hard MMA Degenerates. Been following and betting MMA for a long time. This guy is one of the best. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. And then Darius Knox 00 says, great energy with a 5-star review. Shout out to Clint. Started listening him once MMA. I started listening to him once MMA was the first sport to come back during COVID last year, and no compares to his love of MMA. Great information. And he puts his name on his own picks. Take a shot of Fireball, everyone. So there you go. Darius Knox saying do a shot. I know it's Monday night, so don't go too hard on the drinking. But if everyone wants to do a shot for my boy Darius, we'd all appreciate it. Shout out to you, man. Thank you very much for the kind review. And hey, that was the whole goal of the podcast, right? Like back when we started this damn thing, I wanted to turn non-MMA bettors into MMA bettors, and I wanted to turn non-fans into MMA fans and help grow the sport. And we got super, super lucky with COVID. I mean, I know it's weird to say that, right? Because COVID has been such a problem for everybody all around the world. But we got lucky in MMA because it put so many extra eyes on our sport. It gave us a time to shine. We got a push like we never otherwise would have gotten if we were still competing with basketball and the NFL like we normally do. So many more UFC and MMA fans around now because of COVID. So we gotta be grateful for what we can, right? Absolutely. All right. Catching up with the chat. Jimmy giving out some gold here. He's hanging out on the Pelicans -3. So if feel like tailing a play there, always love my guy Jimmy's reads. All right. I may be on that myself. Zabel, what's up, buddy? Welcome very much. Yoda, I would love to collaborate with Gianni more often. I've already invited him back on the podcast, and I think we're going to get him. So I will let you all know as soon as I can announce that me and him are going to be doing another show together. I definitely will. Give me a follow at Die Hard MMA Pod on Twitter. That's where I announce everything besides here on the show live, obviously. But I will let you know as soon as I have him locked up again. And Ryan Brogham, what beautiful timing. So we have already talked about UFC 257, and there's not a whole lot else for us to do tonight. But I do want to tell you all what I've done so far. The next event, we're headed back to Vegas. We're in the UFC Apex. We're going UFC Vegas 18. And I've made the biggest bet that I have made ever since the podcast started. I have 7 units, 7, to win 4 on Volkov. So as you all know, or maybe don't know, but probably should know, on February 6th, Volkov will be facing Alistair Overeem. And this is a spot that I wanted to get ahead of because I do expect to beat the line move here. In my opinion, Volkov should be a -300 favorite in this spot. Now, again, this is me going back to my roots and doing everything I can to trust myself and trust what I see, believe in my own reads, and I believe Alexander Volkov should be a much, much larger favorite in this position. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you now. Alistair Overeem, first and foremost, is 40 years old. We all talk about it's one of the rules. It's one of the rules of the Die Hard MMA podcast that we do not bet on 40-year-old fighters unless we've got a damn good reason to do so. And you know what? We had a damn good reason to bet on Overeem against Jairzinho Rozenstruik back in 2019. And he was winning every step of the way in that fight, all the way up until the last 4 seconds got clipped and knocked out. We were robbed at the very last second, at the buzzer on that fight. Should have cashed a ticket. We were on him against Walt Harris because in MMA there are no fairy tales. And we cashed a ticket with him. But you know what? Walt damn near put Overeem out in the first round. We did not actually end up betting Alistair Overeem against Augusto Sakai because I was worried that Augusto was going to be able to defend that situation. I thought he was a rising star, someone who could stop a guy like Alistair Overeem. Overeem showed us that he could turn back the clock one more time. Alexander Volkov is a cut above. Realistically speaking, let's look at the run Alistair Overeem has been on, right? He got knocked out by Francis Ngannou, literally lost his head in 2017. Curtis Blades mauled him in 2018, TKO'd him in the 3rd. Then he gets a big step down. The UFC throws the veteran a bone, Sergey Pavlovich. He gets rid of him in the 1st round. That guy doesn't belong in the cage with Alistair Overeem. They throw him another bone. Retirement tour. Alexei Olenek taking on Alistair Overeem. Loser probably should retire, but neither man will. Alistair Overeem TKOs Alexei Olenek in the 1st round. Shouldn't have been in there with him. We already talked about the Jairzinho fight, right? But we know Jairzinho has a huge hole in his game with the takedowns. Alistair Overeem showed that he could take advantage of that hole in his game, put him on his ass, and was able to grind out damn near 25 minutes of that fight, but really wanted nothing to do in the stand-up until that point. And as soon as he did trade, he went down. Walt Harris, a guy he barely survived round 1 against, and then had to go to that grappling in round 2. Pardon me, got a tickle in my throat here. And then he was able to outclass Augusto Sakai, a guy that doesn't have as high of a ceiling as we originally thought. In the last 5 fights, in the last 3 years, Alistair Overeem has not fought a contender or a contender-level fighter in 5 fights. Let that sink in for a moment. Alistair Overeem no longer has the best gas tank. I know he TKO'd Sakai in round 5, but Sakai is not known for his gas tank either. And Sakai is also not known for his takedown defense, and the Reem was able to put him on the mat anytime he wanted to. So the once vaunted champion striker Alistair Overeem has become a wrestler in the UFC. Because his durability is so bad these days, he is forced to take his fights to the ground. Enter Alexander Volkov. The man is 32. He's in his fighting prime. He just recently lost a fight to Curtis Razor Blades in a 5-round, 25-minute fight where he went to decision with the potential title challenger, Curtis Blades. Not only did he take everything Curtis Blades had to offer, he made him work for every single second of it. And in round 4 and round 5, he turned the tables on Curtis Blades. The man with the better cardio was Volkov. The man who hit harder was Volkov. He put Blades in a position he has never been in before. This man is championship caliber to his soul. And if it wasn't for the literal last-second knockout from Derek Lewis, the only loss that he has had on his record since 2016, since being in the UFC, would have been that decision loss to Curtis Blades, where he arguably came away smelling like roses, even though he took an L. After that fight, he realized something. He needed to put some mass on. Being a striker is not enough in the UFC's heavyweight division today. He put on 20 pounds of muscle, and he destroyed Walt Harris in his next fight. Now, once again, we know that that's a step down in competition, but the destruction that Volkov put on Walt Harris was something different. There was no ground game, folks. There was no taking him down. There was no waiting for him to get tired. Volkov beat Walt Harris like he stole something. And we were all over him in that fight. That was where I had a confidence issue and I hedged on Walt, and I regret it to this day. Right now, Alexander Volkov is minus 175. And I am laying 7 units to win for a ridiculous bet, a bet that is probably too large. I always talk about bankroll management. Make sure you don't overextend on any one play. I wanted to win 4 units. I probably should have gone 5.2 to win 3, but I wanted to win 4 units. So I'm going 7 to win 4. It's too much. Probably don't do that. Maybe don't lay that much. I will always be open and honest with you guys on what I do, even when I make a mistake. And after locking that bet in, it was too big. But it is what it is. It's already there. And I'm not hedging it unless that line moves massively. If I'm right, and if Volkov ends up closing minus 300-ish, minus 250, which I don't see it getting there because there's too much love in the market for Alistair Overeem, maybe I'll take a unit the other way to hedge off just a little bit. But yeah, I'm not planning on it. Volkov is 6'7". He put on a shit ton of muscle after his last fight. He's now bigger and stronger than Alistair Overeem, who is 6'4". These are giant men. These are monsters. And Volkov has a 3-inch height advantage on Alistair Overeem. There's not many fighters in the UFC that can match Alistair Overeem's 80-inch reach. Alexander Volkov does. The Reem will not have a reach advantage in this fight. And when you don't have a height and reach advantage, it makes it very hard to protect your chin and have a good striking defense against an opponent where you need to protect yourself because they can match anything you do. If you can hit them, they can hit you back. That's where Alistair Overeem has been able to manage the distance. Stay outside, stay away, and then close the distance and get the takedown as soon as you can. And remember, we always talk about stats lie in MMA. You have to know the fighters. You have to see the fighters with your own 2 eyes. Because if you don't, the stats will mislead you. Alistair Overeem has a 56% takedown defense rating. He lands 1.44 takedowns per 15-minute fight over the course of his UFC career. More so now than ever. In his last 3 UFC fights, the Reem landed 2 takedowns, 1 takedown, and 3 against Augusto Sakai. We've talked about how he is relying on that grappling now because of the deficiencies in his chin. So he relies on that now. He must wrestle to win these fights. And when you see a guy who's got a 65% takedown defense rating, Overeem at dog odds is looking good, baby. 65% defense. The Reem's going to take him down, wear him out, and TKO him like he always does. Not this one. Not this one. Alexander Volkov has given up 19 takedowns in his entire UFC career. All right? 19. 14 of those 19 takedowns came against Curtis Razor Blades. The most prolific takedown artist in the heavyweight division landed 14 takedowns on Alexander Volkov and wasn't able to do shit with them. Volkov was able to make him work and get back to his feet every single time. And then he started beating the face off of Curtis Razor Blades late in that fight. The only other man to land takedowns in grouping on Alexander Volkov, which in grouping is a term I just made up, by the way. That's trademark. was Fabricio Verdum. You got to go all the way back to 2018. 3 years ago, Fabricio Verdum landed 3 takedowns on a young Alexander Volkov, and he paid for it in the 4th round. The black belt, Fabricio Verdum, the champion, Fabricio Verdum, 3 years ago when he was still a notable name and talent in the UFC, took this man down 3 times and got TKO'd in the 4th round for it. Before that, he gave up 1 takedown to Timothy Big Dick Johnson in his UFC debut and 1 to Roy Nelson the fight after. So, if we take away the Curtis Razor Blades fight, this man has only given up a total of 5 takedowns in the UFC, 3 of which came to a champion Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt 3 years ago. Numbers lie. Alexander Volkov's takedown defense is incredible. More so than his takedown defense is his get-up game. More so than his get-up game is his submission defense. This man has been submitted twice in his MMA career. However, he has not been submitted in his UFC run. And you have to go all the way back to 2010. 2010, when he was just a young buck, 11 years ago when he was submitted. I know Alistair Overeem's got a nasty ground and pound game. He's not going to have an opportunity to unload that because as soon as he takes Volkov down, Volkov's getting back up. I know Alistair Overeem has a nasty submission game. If Fabricio Verdum could not submit Alexander Volkov, Alistair Overeem is not going to. I know Alistair Overeem has a good gas tank, but if Curtis Blades was barely able to stay on his feet in round 5 against Alexander Volkov, Alistair Overeem will not be able to stay on his feet in round 5 against Alexander Volkov. I know Alistair Overeem has a ton of experience. Alexander Volkov has 40 fights. And if you want to talk about the age, if you want to talk about the numbers, we just talked about 40-year-old Sarah McMahon, who put in 2 good, hard rounds against the young, hungry buck and gave up a 3rd round finish because she just didn't have anything left. Alistair Overeem is cut from a different cloth. We're not in Fight Island. We're back in the Apex. We're back in the UFC's backyard. He's going to have to test clean. Alistair Overeem has had some performance-enhancing drug issues over the course of his UFC career, and because we'll be in Vegas, he will be tested. He will be watched. He's not going to be overseas where he can have someone scaling the outside of the building to sneak a bag into his room. He's going to have to test positive. Folks, Alexander Volkov is winning this fight. I don't know where the path to victory lies for Alistair Overeem because we haven't seen him try to stand on the feet with anybody and outstrike them for several years. Not since he got his head taken off by Francis Ngannou. Yes, these are heavyweights. Yes, these are big men. Alistair Overeem could flash knockout Drago early on in this fight. This is sports betting. This is MMA. Anything is possible. It could happen. But outside of a banana peel, outside of Volkov ducking when he should have slipped, this kid is a phenomenal striker. He averages 4.76 significant strikes per minute, only absorbs 2.53. Said the wrong number first. He outlands his opponents by almost a full 2 significant strikes per minute. 2 per minute. That's incredibly impressive. This kid's got striking for days. He's bigger. He's stronger than he's ever been. He's got an incredible gas tank. He's got great takedown defense. He's got a good get-up game. This is the sleeper of the heavyweight division. Nobody's giving my boy Volkov the credit he deserves. And even at minus 175, he is not a big enough favorite in this spot. That's why I've put 7 units to win 4 on Alexander Volkov. If Alistair Overeem turns back the clock, if he comes in here and he KOs Volkov in the first round, I'm not even going to feel bad about it. Yes, I'll feel bad I lost the cash. Yes, I'll feel bad I ate the units. But this is a spot that I'm incredibly confident in. I have been all over Alistair Overeem for the last 2 years. I've had a very, very good read on this man. I knew when he was going to show up. I knew when he wasn't. I mean, really all he's done is show up, but let's be real. This is a different level of competition. He's trying to step back in the ring of contenders. And I think it's going to go very, very poorly for him. Just like I said, when Alistair Overeem fought Walt Harris, there are no fairy tales in MMA. Alistair Overeem is trying to mount one more run at the title. He wants that belt. He wants that UFC gold. He's not going to get it. He's not going to get it. Even if he does get past Volkov, which I don't think he will, he's got Ngannou waiting for him. And that just ain't happening. He's already been TKO'd by Francis Ngannou. He's been TKO'd by Curtis Blades. He's going to get TKO'd on February 6th by Alexander Volkov. And since I've been given my speech, I have not caught up with any of the comments here in the chat. So now I'm going to go ahead and read. Connor McPricks saying, cocky or confidence? Connor, my friend, in 2021, I am down 7 units. I have nothing to be cocky about right now. Not a damn thing to be cocky about right now. Volkov is going to test old man Reen's shim. Absolutely. He's a very high-level striker, and this thing should be a striking match. And it's a 5-round main event. Don't forget, it's 5 rounds in the Apex, which is the small cage. The small cage. These boys are going to have nothing to do but run into each other. I plan on taking an under on this one. Volkov by knockout. Sam, I do believe that Overeem fought Sakai in Vegas. Yes. Yes, I think so. That must be correct. Did I say he went to Fight Island? That's my bad. I was more referencing guys like the Khalil Roundtree fight where Prachniow came in with a new chin that he bought off the black market. I know the Reem hasn't been to Fight Island, but he's not going to be able to pull something over on USADA while he's stuck here stateside. And Armchair, he's been off the juice for a while, but I think he's been on a different kind of juice because you saw, much like Vitor Belfort's a perfect example, when they shut him down, he went from TRT Vitor to this sickly little old man, and then he swole back up somehow. Overeem disappeared. Overeem definitely disappeared. But then he did put some of that poundage right back on, so I think he got a new doctor. MMA Sports Better agreeing with me. The glass jaw getting touched up. We got a 100% here from Patrick. Minus 182 at Rivers. I saw a little bit of money recently come in on Overeem, so you may get that 175. The market seems not too sure of what to make of this fight right now. Let me go ahead and put this up here for you all. My bestfightpicks.com, one of my favorite sites here. It looks like there's 170s out there still, but I mean, even over at like Bovada, I see a minus 190. So this guy is getting hit. You can get 175 in some places. But like I said, there's going to be love for Alistair Overeem because of how good he's been, because he's only had 1 loss in his last 5 fights. There's going to be some buyback on him as the underdog. I do see him getting some love, but I do think that Volkov will close a bigger favorite. He should. He absolutely should. Like I said, I probably should have played it for less. Maybe I should have done 5.2 to win 3. And then if money came in on Overeem and he dropped to like minus 150, hit it again, get a better price tag on it and hit it while it's low. Maybe that was the move. But I believe that this line should be minus 250. I believe this line should be minus 300. And because of that, I am going to go ahead and lock it in at minus 175. And Nick in here, yeah, man, screwed too many times fading Alistair Overeem, and I do understand that fear, but the reality is he's an old man now. He's 40 years old. We know the rules. He's going to drop off a cliff here sooner than later, and it's really been the higher level, younger guns, the bigger challengers in the division that have been doing it. Like, look back at his run. He lost to Stipe in the first round by knockout. Yeah, Stipe, he's one of the better guys in the division. He's top 5. Obviously, he's the champion. Mark Hunt, he got it done against Mark Hunt, no problem. Hunt is not a top 5er. Fabricio Verdum, he won a majority decision against that guy. That was a weird fight. It was back in 2017. It's an age-appropriate fight for Alistair Overeem and not a guy with the power to knock Alistair Overeem out. So, okay, he got that one done over a contender at the time. But Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blaydes, the top 2 contenders in the sport, they both knocked him out and had their way with him. Sergey, not even close to contender. Alexei Olenek, not even close to contender, and a bad chin and a bad gas tank. Jairzinho, maybe contender, maybe, but, you know, we're not sure yet because he's got too many holes in his game. Walt Harris, nowhere near contender. Augusto Sakai, they're trying to make this kid a contender, but he's not a contender either. So Alexander Volkov is a contender. I promise you that. So this is the spot where I think it goes back to the knockout story. That chin problem's going to show right up again. Absolutely think it's going to be a knockout. All right. Getting back down here. Here we go. See, an armchair saying, I could see a world where Overeem controls him on top. I don't see that world. I don't see it. If Curtis Blaydes, the phenomenal wrestler, couldn't hold down Alexander Volkov, I can't see Overeem doing it. And realistically, Overeem hasn't been the guy that's been able to just grind on top of people. Look at the Augusto Sakai fight. Look at, the Augusto Sakai fight and the Jairzinho fight. They're kind of perfect examples. He does rely on those mat returns. He relies on getting people back to the ground over and over again. And if he lets Volkov up, Volkov's not going to go back down easy. And if he does, getting back up is going to make Overeem work, which is going to tire him out. It's going to drain that gas tank. I don't see him being able to hold him down. I just don't. Good luck beating the line movement, Grateful Dude. Hoping we get in there. I should have looked at this one early. They opened it a lot closer to pick them, and I wish I had gotten, minus 140, minus 150. That would have been sick. Would have been absolutely sick. Adesanya and Yan, Usman and Burns prediction. So these fights have got me so torn. So, all right, first and foremost, Usman Burns. Everybody knows I'm on the Burns train. I love Gilbert Burns. I love what this guy brings to the table. He has been training with Usman. He's got the inside path. He believes he can beat this guy. I think Usman is on the decline. I think his body is wearing out. He's got no cartilage left in his knees. He can't do cardio running. We've known that. I think Usman's time is coming. And I think that Burns might just be the guy to do it. I think at 170, Burns is a new man. So I'm going to be on Gilbert Burns. I'm hoping to get a little better than plus 200, but it does look like the plus 200s are starting to get snapped up. They opened this lineup at plus 185. Burns took immediate money. It's been Usman ever since, climbing it back up to plus 200. And maybe I should jump on it sooner than later, because if memory serves correctly, it dipped down to like plus 190, plus 185, plus 190, something like that last time around. So I was hoping to get plus 225, plus 230, but I don't know if it'll get there. So I'm going to watch this one closely. I will take plus 200 or plus 195 if I've got to take that, but I think there's value on Gilbert Burns. Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz. I'm having such a hard time with this fight. Such a hard time with this fight. From a betting perspective, I think it's dog or pass. I mean, you've got the current 205 champ, Jan, who is looking better than he ever has, taking on a fighter stepping up a weight class. I know Izzy is going to have a height and reach advantage even up at 205 because he's such a big dude, but it's a little disrespectful to make the champ a plus 200 underdog. I've been on both of these guys their entire runs. I don't know how I'm going to pick against either of them. I mean, you got to go with Izzy. He's younger. He's faster. He's a better striker. He's longer. You got to go with Izzy. But the line, I think, is a bit disrespectful of what Jan has shown us lately. So maybe we go Jan. And, we've seen a bunch of hype trains derailed lately. This might be another Conor McGregor spot where they're just underestimating a tough and gritty fighter who has done nothing but show us exactly what we need him to do. So there you go. Definitely Burns. Maybe no bet for Adesanya versus Jan. Maybe no bet, but probably dog or pass. I'm so high on both guys. That feels dirty. Burns is dangerous, and can Usman make it a boring fight? Yes, because that's what Usman does. That's Usman's game. But at the same time, remember what we saw when Usman fought Colby. When Usman doesn't have that redonkulous wrestling advantage, suddenly he turns into a striker. And that's where I think Gilbert Burns is going to be able to force this thing into a bit of a firefight. Gilbert Burns, his wrestling has improved leaps and bounds. He's been training with Usman forever, so his wrestling is on point. He's a better jiu-jitsu practitioner than Usman is. So does Usman really want to engage in that ground game? All right, I'm going to put my tinfoil cap on here for you guys. I'm going to be a little crazy here for you. I don't think Usman got hurt. I think Usman needed more time. I think Gilbert Burns' betrayal, the in-camp switcheroo, I think that caught him off guard. I think Usman had no idea that was coming. And as soon as it did, his manager got on the phone and went, bro, you need to prepare. You need to give this guy some time. You need to game plan. Make sure you're good to go for this. And I think he faked an injury, pulled out, extended the time period, got some training, went and hung out with Justin Gaethje and Team Elevation for a bit. I think that's what he did. I don't believe Usman was injured. I think he needed some time to prepare for Gilbert because he knows how dangerous Burns is, which to me, once again, if my tinfoil cap prediction is correct, I think that Usman being worried about Burns is a good sign. I think it's a good sign. Grateful Dead liking Jan's value. Cruz versus Kenny prediction. Yoda's Chode. There are 2 bets that I've locked in. 2 bets that I looked way ahead and locked in. One of those is Tim Elliott against Jordan Espinoza. I bet Tim Elliott. The other one is Kennedy versus Cruz. Kennedy is now a minus 125 favorite. And folks, I would bet that as soon as you can. Because if you are with me, if you like Casey Kenny, I said Kennedy, I'm sorry. If you like Casey Kenny, which you should, against an old and busted Dominic Cruz, I would bet him now. Because he's going to get more and more love the closer that fight gets. Dom Cruz is over the hill. Dom Cruz is old and busted, and he can't keep up with the pace and the wrestling that a guy like Kenny is going to be able to put on him. And Casey Kenny's shown some power. He's shown some hands lately. We just saw Cruz get folded. I think it's going to be a decision, but don't count a finish out here. I just think Cruz is too far shot at this point. Young saying that Jiri KO's Reyes? Possible. That kid is, Yoda's Chode agreeing with him. That's very, very, very possible because Reyes is not looking too hot lately, and Jiri honestly looks like a bit of a monster. All right. Yeah, you got the conspiracy theory out of me today. Every once in a while, you got to do it. All right. So just to recap, UFC 257 plus 209 units. That leaves us, like I said, I don't have the number right in front of me, but I'm about minus 7 units so far in 2021. Not happy about it, but at least we are headed the right direction. Once again, learned a couple of positive lessons, some things we're going to implement moving forward, and learning to trust myself again, especially with those round 3 prop calls. So looking a little bit better. That's the show, folks. That is the show. I'm going to let you go early. I'm going to go spend some time with my daughter, have some dinner, just chill, relax, kick my feet up a little bit because there's no MMA this week. Do me a favor, head on over to odds.com. Make sure you check the site out. That's where everybody needs to be for me. I'm going to do some articles. I'm going to drop a written article for the Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov prediction. So if you like that written stuff, and if you just want to help me out, make sure you click that article link and check it out. We appreciate it. Appreciate all of you for spending this glorious Monday night with me here on the Die Hard MMA podcast. Thank you once again, Jimmy, for hanging out with me, buddy. Thank you, everybody, for participating in my 100th episode. We are on to 200. We're looking ahead, looking down the road at episode 200, and hopefully hopefully next time around, the world has been cleared of COVID and we are back to things being a little bit more normal, because I want to throw a party, man. I want to do a episode 150 or episode 200 live viewing party from Vegas, sponsored by odds.com. I want to hang out and drink with you degenerates while we gamble on MMA. That just sounds like so much fun to me. So cross your fingers. That's the goal. We'll have more good stuff in store. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. I'm totally messing up on my verbiage here. Sorry. We're back next week, February 1st, Overeem versus Volkov with Cody Saftik. February 8th, UFC 258 with the man Matt Holt. UFC Blades versus Lewis on February 15th with my man doing the interviews over here for odds.com, James Lynch. Make sure you check him out as well. And then closing out February, Reyes versus Procaccia with my boy Manpreet, MMA LOTN. That's what you've got coming down the pipe. Love you all. Appreciate you all. I wouldn't be here in this seat today if it wasn't for you and all your support. Good luck on your degenerate gambling action this week, because I have no way to make you cash since there's no MMA going on. So be careful out there. Be careful. Make sure y'all take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of your families. Do yourself a favor. Do a couple push-ups. I know we're all still stuck at home for the most part. I've got my heavy bag out in the garage. I'm starting to hit it, trying to work off some of this weight. The Die Hard MMA Podcast coming soon. Take care of yourselves. Love one another. Be a good, positive influence out there for the people around you. You will become who and what you surround yourselves with. So make sure you treat everyone with kindness and respect, and it will be returned to you. And hey, especially if you're on Twitter, make sure you use that block button as soon as you feel like it, because we don't have time for the bullshit of toxic people in our lives. If we needed people dragging us down, we could just call up our family and have an early Christmas dinner this year. Don't need it. Let's just make sure we keep ourselves in our happy little bubble of supportive, wonderful people. And that's what I've got here with the Die Hard MMA Podcast and the fans. So thank you all so much once again for everything that you have done for me. Have a great week. I will see you next week, and let's roll.